Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just a couple of business items. Is Ms. Ragona here? Thank you for bringing it to our attention that we should move the meeting to a bigger venue. Great call. Thank you. Very good. I'd like to take credit for it, but credit is all yours. Thank you. I also wanted to salute the middle school. They had their musical last weekend. It's a great success, and thank all the teachers and music people and the kids and parents who came out and supported the middle school musical. And just as a last item of business, we're going to be having a presentation of the budget right after the awards. And I just want to let you know that should you decide to stay and listen, you're most welcome, but I know kids have to get home and there's homework and time at home that's important. But if you do choose to exit, I'd ask you to exit towards the rear and to please be quiet when you're exiting because we're going to be continuing the meeting. It's not going to be suspended. So we'll give you just a couple of minutes of jackets and hellos and goodbyes, but it's much more orderly if in fact it is quiet and if people do choose to exit through the rear. And if you do exit quietly, we'd be most grateful. So at this point, I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan. It is great to see so many wonderful young people in our audience tonight, people who are doing great work in our schools, and we're happy to celebrate you tonight. And we are first going to call up our Odyssey of the Mind participants whose meeting has been delayed several times due to weather and all kinds of things. And I'd ask that our three coaches, Ms. Donovan, Mr. McConnell, and Mr. Sherritt, come up to introduce the Odyssey of the Mind participants and winners this year. Matt, Dad is in the middle.
Check. Got it. All right. That's why we don't need microphones, guys. All right. First and foremost, I would like to thank the board. I'd like to thank the parents, and most importantly, I'd like to thank the children for what was just an amazing run. One of the highlights of my personal teaching career over 17 years, but spending such a wonderful amount of time with over 40 children that put everything they possibly can into every single practice, every single competition. And it was just such a special event. And just finding the success and hearing our names called and getting them up to receive a trophy half the size of me was pretty special. All the way from our 4th graders up to our 8th graders. And you know, I'm just so proud, and it just fills me with so much love that you guys all showed up tonight, and I'm so proud, and just let's give it up for them when their names are called, please. And before I begin, I would just like to thank Andy Teixeira and Jennifer Facial, now done, Ms. G. Last year was their first year as coaches, and I could not have been more lucky to have such amazing partners. So, without further ado, first place in regionals and 7th place in the world. We're going to begin with our elementary problem 2 team. They competed by creating a Rube Goldberg and solving a problem that involved elephant toothpaste that needed to save the world from killing all the plant life. All right, so first off, we have David Corey. Is David here? Mavis Fox. Michelle. Ledger Nafty. Matthew Ragona. And Aiden Sherritt. Okay, next up, we have our problem 3. They completed a classic problem where they had to give a different twist to the famous novel, The Iliad, and they chose to make it into a prompt. So, first up, we have Abe Jackowitz. Mia Kupchik. And this team placed first in regionals, second in New York State, and 24th in the entire world. Isla Omatola. Cody O'Connell. Ella Peterson. Cavelli Papani de la Rosa. And Zoe Pinto. Okay, and for our elementary problem 5 team, this team placed first in the region, third in New York State, and 14th overall in the world. First up, Savannah Bardalis, who actually Savannah is not feeling well tonight. Henry Chambers. Camilla Code. Camilla, I'm sorry. Brendan Salem. Allison Salem. And Quinn Siegel.
Sure. Let's give it up to our elementary team. Squeeze together. Tell me like.
Everybody look right there.
I'm going to start presenting to our Problem 2 middle school team. This team had quite a predicament. They had to create a Goldberg machine. They also created this humongous flip-flop machine to spread kindness throughout the world, which is really cool. So first off, we have Maven All. We have Arlo Fox. Stella Gonzalez. Patrick McGuire. And then we have Callie Smith and Jackson Smith, who are
Okay, next up, we have our team, which was comprised of mostly 8th graders. I know that the board has already heard from them this year, and hopefully they'll be able to continue in the high school next year. This team, I had the pleasure to coach as all the children for the last 4 to 5 years. And watching them come from 4th graders that were barely up to my waist, and now some of them that are taller than me, is something that makes me feel old as an educator. But this group, particularly, they've placed 3rd in the world twice, 4th in the world once, 7th in the world once, and last year they were United States champions and placed 2nd in the world. So first up, Sydney Bergstein. Kate Ragona. Leah Sachs. Jordan Soriano. Mia Teixeira. Aaliyah Trichter. And Casper Yanovich.
Our final team for tonight is our Problem 5 team from the middle school team. They placed first place regionals. They had a really creative skit about being the most dramatic chefs they possibly could be. So without further ado, we have Jolynn Baker Gonzalez, Hudson Christine, Maya Cohen, Charlotte De Palma, Fabio Rinaldi, and Shayna Tozer.
Let's give it up for our.
So our OM friends, if you'd like to go get ice cream with your parents or homework, I can tell you which I would prefer. You can feel free to go ahead. And next up tonight, we have a presentation on elementary STEM. We'd ask those presenters to come forward. Hello. Thank you so much for welcoming us to present tonight. I'm Christy Tercy. I'm the Director of Science for Long Beach Public Schools. Thank you to the board and Central Administration for having us. I have fantastic students and STEM teachers with us. I would like to introduce Ms. Blythe Hall, Ms. Summer and Waverly Sheen, Mr. Phoenix and Paxton Cavallo, Mr. Joshua Moreno, and our
Three of our STEM teachers, Ms. Rondo from Lindell, Ms. Nichols from Leo, and Ms. Gallo from West. Without further ado, I am going to turn it over to our first presenter, who will be Ms. All from East. And I just have to give her the microphone. Hold on one second.
I like STEM because we can do bridges, and I like them because it's between the challenges mixed with creativity. And I like challenges because then I can put all my hard work into it, and then I can get I can work with my teammates too, and we make a really successful and it's really fun. So yeah.
And now we'll hand it over to Summer and Waverly Shaker.
Hi, my name is Summer. I'm in the third grade at Leo Elementary School in Ms. Lopez's class. I go to STEM twice a week. My STEM teacher is Miss Nichols. One of the things I enjoy about my STEM class is how we are shown a model of the assignment and then get to create a version of that sample with the changes that are of our own design. Another thing I like about STEM is the ability to work in teams or independently. We are learning about physics right now, in particular friction, gravity, and magnets. One challenging project that stands out to me was when we had to create a boat that could float an egg on water using a small number of materials. Another challenge that I enjoyed was balloons over Broadway, where my class created a balloon show that we paraded around the school playground dressed like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I love that the other classes got to see each other's hard work. I'm really looking forward to participating in new STEM challenges this year. My name is Waverly. I'm in second grade at Leo Elementary. I see Miss Nichols once a week for STEM. My favorite part of STEM is problem solving as a team. I like working with my friends to come up with solutions to STEM problems. This past Thanksgiving, the entire class made a balloon for our school playground. Our group made Wally the trash robot, other groups made Dumbo and Baby. In order to complete the project, we needed to brainstorm as a group. We all had to agree on one design. Together, we first discussed, then built our parade float using the materials our teachers used. It did not work out at first. We redesigned it to improve our project. Some of my other favorite projects include the Lego robot, the snowman project, and the rocket ship project. I can't wait to see what balloon makes next year. My name is Paxton, and my favorite part of the STEM night was the snow on the rooftop. I liked it because we got to use recycled materials to make a roof for a house and not let flour go in. I love crushing this part with my friend. This is my baby brother Phoenix, and I'm in STEM. In STEAM it, I did bubble blowing, and STEM is the best.
My name is Joshua Moreno, and I'm in 5th grade at Lindell. At Lindell, we have a March Madness competition where we program the Dash robots to go through a maze using the Go app and an iPad. It is competitive because we are on teams and we go through a series of challenges to advance our teams in our bracket system, which is on the bulletin board in the hall. The final teams face off in the most epic battle. All the kids in grades 3 through 5 cheer for their favorite teams. All the finalists receive medals, and the number one team winner gets a trophy, which is in the showcase as you enter the building. March Madness is the most exciting, creative, and fun day of the school year.
we have one student from West who was not able to join us, Paxton and Phoenix's sister, Presley. But Presley sent me a video today with her mom, and we added it. So we'll let Presley say her part.
Hi, my name is Presley. I'm a third grade student at West School. At West, we have a night dedicated to STEAM. STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Math. I love this night because I get to do engineering challenges with my friends. My favorite challenge is the boat challenge because I got to design a boat any way I wanted and to test to see how many penguins it could hold without sinking.
And none of this would be possible without our fantastic team of STEM teachers. As I said before, Ms. Rundo, Ms. Nichols, and Ms. Gallo are here. Mr. Jones couldn't join us, but we're very lucky to have him at East Elementary. So thank you to all of our fantastic student presenters. It's so exciting to hear from you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
You guys, great job. And a big thank you to Miss Kersey as well. You know, not too long ago, we didn't have any STEM programs in our elementaries, and Miss Kersey's been great at really building these programs and giving our students way more exciting experiences in STEM and project-based learning. So thank you to you and to your awesome STEM team.
And I also say, great job everyone on the STEM presentation. Ms. Rundo, I want to thank you for all the projects that you guys do that now are still at my house. I'm all 3 of my kids. The battery, we have the big ones and the battery-powered projects and all the little pieces everywhere. They're great, and the kids take them home and they play with them. So it really shows that you guys are doing a great job. Great job, everybody.
I really also want to echo Mr. Pinto's sentiments. So wonderful to hear young students speak about being engineers and creative problem solving and brainstorming together. So really, thank you so much for bringing it down to our students, and you can really see it making them love learning. So thank you. And tonight we continue, without further ado, Mr. DeVito, with further budget presentations.
We have some very stiff competition tonight, Mr. DeVito.
Never can follow this. Good evening, everybody. Tonight we're going to talk about the central support functions in this budget presentation, which is basically the thousands series. So the functions that start A and then a 1, we're going to cover this evening. And what does that include? It includes the Board of Education, the district clerk, the district meeting, and you see to the right of the code function descriptions will be the actual function code numbers. Central administration, which is the superintendent's office, the business office, purchasing, auditing, and human resources are some of those codes that we consider part of central administration. Legal services, records management, public information, which is the most of the communication that we do from the district. Facilities is an area that we'll focus on in some detail, and that's operations as well as maintenance, central printing, insurance, all of the insurance coverages that we have for the district, and then some of the central BOCES functions, such as the money we have to pay towards BOCES administration, the rental of facilities, and capital projects. Central technology system is the only function that is not included in this presentation. That's A1680 in the line by line, and that's going to be presented when we talk about technology along with the computer-assisted technology instruction A2630. And we may not do it at the next board meeting, we may do it at the meeting after, and you'll see when I talk about the schedule and the dates, what we have upcoming. So the overall proposed budget for those central functions of all of the function areas that I listed in the previous slide, you see goes up a very small amount, about 1%. In that group of codes includes a 13% insurance premium increase. Again, not the health insurance that we spoke about last time, but the property casualty liability insurance coverages that we have in the district. A board doc software, electronic signature books is something we want to move to for the election, and the typical standard contractual salary increases for all the staff in all of those areas, and also some savings with an offset for savings for some replacement of retired staff. Included in that, about $161,000 increase is a 2 or 3% increase for different types of BOE services that we received, as well as some minor projected price increases and some other significant price increases on the facility side that we're going to talk about next. You see here A1620, which is the operation of plant. Those are what we like to think of as all of the people that work inside of our buildings, our cleaners, custodians, going up a very modest amount of about 1.76%. And then the maintenance of plant, which is the groundskeepers, the mechanics, is actually a slight decrease for next year. And what are some of the specifics of these facility functions? In terms of the operations budget, which is the A1620, it includes some additional baseline funding for overtime and per diem subs, because we've been noticing that, we have been having some costs there above what we had budgeted in prior years, so we needed to adjust that up a little bit. And included in the per diem subs are a couple of part-time cleaners that we have at the high school that specifically handle the new bathrooms and are keeping them in a really good condition. And they're doing a great job there, and some additional support over at East School that we have with the cafeteria there and some of the eating in the classrooms that we have for the lower grades. And along with the 5% price escalation increase for natural gas and electricity. Although we have seen some high price increases over the past couple of years, we see that starting to stabilize a bit. So we think 5% is a good amount to put in for the heating and the electricity. And we're also seeing, some of our plant is starting to need repair. It's at the end of its useful life, and we need to make sure that we have enough money to take care of those operational and maintenance needs and some specific projects that our facilities department has in line for next year, so we have that in the budget as well. All of these increases are offset by a reduction for separation pay, because we're not expecting many retirements the following year, so we could reduce that line a little bit. A line item we had for architect fees for ad hoc projects, we also thought we could reduce there. And we are finally able to remove that temporary boiler, the rental and the related fuel at the middle school. And we're also not going to replace an in-house mechanic that's retiring, all of those in order to have cost savings so that we could buffer some of the price and cost increases that I spoke about in the previous bullet. Another area is the 1000 series, which is the central support functions that I want to focus on, is A1910, which is where we keep our expenses for property liability and cyber insurance. You see here, although it's a 7.86% increase, because it's a much smaller base than some of our other costs that we talk about, we're really talking about a $79,000 increase to the budget. And, we really don't have a lot of flexibility there because we're dealing with rate increase, 13% for property and liability, 10% for flood. We keep, as many of you know, flood insurance, 5% for cyber, and 5% for student accident. And when I questioned why some of these costs are going up at this rate, I was told it's really a function of the claims that these companies are getting. They're getting a lot more claims now, especially in the liability front, and they have to pass along some of those costs to the different insured in the form of a premium. So similar to health insurance, what we talked about with the pension, these are areas in the budget where we don't have flexibility. We need to absorb some of these price increases. And what we can do is offset it as much as possible with some consolidation, some, just cost-cutting measures. And then when we need, not replacing some retirees, like we see here in the facilities department. Some important upcoming dates. I just want to mention a change here. that we just decided upon this evening. We are going to talk about the elementary program at the February 6th meeting, and we'll talk about transportation and technology on the 20th, so we'll do a flip-flop on those 2 days. And then March 12th, we'll deal with secondary program, that includes athletics, and then special education. We have our budget adoption on the April 16th, and then in May, the budget hearing, and then a week later, the budget. And what we have here is a bond vote that we spoke about and the board election. I know there's been some discussion about what we're going to do with the bond in light of some news that we received most recently about the drop in state aid, and I think we're going to speak about that a little bit later. So,
And Mr. DeVito, I just want to point out, it's actually the 27th, 20th, we're on February break.
I'm sorry, thank you. Yeah, 27th. Yeah, I know. I did, for some reason I was in the budget. I was actually the one that told everybody a little while ago that it was the 27th. Didn't have that right date in my presentation. So now is the time for comments and questions from the board first, please.
I just have a couple of questions, Mr. DeVito. Thank you for the presentation. I guess I ask it every year, is that about the cyber insurance?
Based on what I've been told, yes, in terms of what our coverage provides.
And my other is, I'm just concerned in terms of legal services was included in that discussion. How often do we, not that I have any complaints, Council, I'm very happy with your service to us, but how often do we have to go out to bid in terms of security, council, auditors, and are we in compliance as far as doing what we need to do?
Yes, so we are in compliance. The only requirement that exists is that every 5 years we release a request for proposals for our external auditor, and that's the company that helps us prepare our financial statements, reviews our financial statements. All of the other areas where it is a service and not a specific good, we have the flexibility to do it when we desire to do it, so there is flexibility there.
Okay, since you brought up the topic of the bond vote, I think I'll just address it. In terms of, there has been news in Newsday concerning foundation aid and state aid and how ours has been drastically reduced in terms of that. So in light of that development, which has been very, very recent, what would your recommendation be concerning the bond vote?
So I guess the recommendation that I would have, although there are some important facilities needs that we want to address, that I would say that maybe we wait until next year before we move forward with the bond vote. For the main reason that I don't want it to be misinterpreted as to why we're going forward with the bond, even though I've said, you know, over the past several years in terms of this, that it's a zero tax impact. I think just the perhaps perception that we're going to be building, and even though we need to do some of these construction projects at a time when we also are going to be doing some belt tightening, because we do need to close that gap between our expenses, what's projected, and the decrease in our foundation aid. I think the timing is probably best to wait so that there's clarity in terms of everything that we're doing. I'd hate for anything to be misinterpreted.
Okay, so when you gave the presentation a couple of meetings ago, you would ask for a vote from us.
Just to see if there was consensus on that, yeah.
So do we need another vote now in terms of?
You know, I think it's helpful just for the board members to just express their position, not that it's required in terms of the resolution, but I think it would be helpful if the board members just had a chance to say how they feel about whether they want to move forward with a bond vote in May or whether they'd like to wait. And again, it's not necessarily an indication of whether it's needed in the sense of what we want to do for our buildings and for our students, but just the timing in light of what's happening in the context of how we operate.
Okay, since they brought it up, then I'm just going to lead, I guess. I think we have enough on our plates with recent state developments concerning funding and programs, so I'm going to support your recommendation in terms of holding off on top of the bond or implementing any discussion of them until this year. Thank you for your presentation, thank you.
Mr. DeVito?
Yes.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I just have a few quick questions. When you said that BOCES costs will go up 2% to 3%, is that usually when it goes up every single year?
It does, past several years for sure, and those are in some categories, not in all the categories. For example, later on, I think in March, we're going to do special education. Those tuition costs are actually expected to go 5%. So we didn't present on that yet, but the areas that are covered so far in the presentation is 2 to 3%. But we will, and we're told to be prepared for 5% cost increases for special ed tuition, and we do spend, quite a deal of that, of money with BOCES on that.
Also, Mr. DeVito, you also said the proposed budget includes a 13% insurance premium increase,
That's right.
so it's definitely going up.
That's what, again, that's what's recommended. We have contact people with NYSER, which is the insurance carrier, and that's what they recommend. And when I asked about it, because that is a high percentage, they said it's really a function of the claims that are submitted to them over the past couple of years, and they need to increase their rates in order to recoup costs on the losses. And what they did note is that in a lot of jury awards that they're seeing recently, they're high amounts, much higher than they had in the past for different types of cases. And, because it's an insurance reciprocal, all of the districts share in those costs and then the risk avoidance or hedging the risk. And that's just what's needed in order to cover those losses. And it's not just other districts, even Long Beach itself has also suffered some losses that is a function of our rate increase.
So would you say that increases are just going up all across the board?
Pretty much. I could say in every area, but in certain key areas where we have no control, they're going up at a rate that we have no control over, higher than, let's say, inflation. So health insurance, liability insurance are two main areas that they're outpacing what the CPI is, and we don't have any control over that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. DeVito.
You want to weigh in on the bond?
Yes, I agree with your recommendation, Mr. DeVito, on my bond.
Mr. DeVito, thank you for the presentation. It's nice to see that with that boiler situation, we're going to get rid of those temporary boilers that are unsightly and probably not that efficient compared to getting the projects fixed. Those are still going to happen, regardless of the bond occurring.
That was funded already, and those projects were approved already.
Great. And so thank you for that. Thank you for everyone working hard. In regards to the pushing off the bond vote, I think it's a smart idea for us to do at this time.
Thank you.
I also support pushing back
Thank you.
for your recommendation.
Thank you for your presentation tonight. I think that it's important that we're sensitive to the needs of our community, so I agree that it's, at this time, we should push off the bond.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay, thank you.
Questions and comments from the public on tonight's work session only? Board of Education, do roll business.
I just want to speak and make comments before about the presentations. I thought it was so great that we're showing the steps of integration with how we're using STEAM. So obviously my daughter was an Odyssey of the Mind student, participant. She loved every moment of it. It was really, really a great learning experience for her. Educationally, socially, emotionally, and also with tangible skills, and also practicing failure because they failed a lot throughout the process. So I just want to bring back to focus how important it is for us to have these types of programs, and also how we're starting it young with STEAM as a focus of our educational. I'm really big on project-based learning, and I think this is a great example of it.
Dr. Ryan?
Yes.
I didn't want to interrupt somebody. Okay. I just want to say I went to the middle school play on Friday night, and there wasn't a seat to be had. It was amazing. I even saw some of the alumni from middle school, from the high school, came over to root them on. It was just such a wonderful play. You could see the amount of confidence increase in the kids when they were singing on stage. Mr. Hughes, the director, was just amazing. So I brought my mom, and she was laughing. The kids in the audience were just captivated. So it really was a wonderful, wonderful play, and I really want to extend our thanks out to everybody who worked on it.
Thank you, Ms. Curley. Questions and comments from the public?
Joanne Meyer, planning from Michigan Street. I just have a question. I think it was last year's budget cycle where we were talking about the green bills. So I just cannot remember any of the specifics. I was kind of wondering, is it being used today? And were the improvements going to be part of the bond or part of the high school budget?
So I can answer that. The current greenhouse that we have is used by a number of our middle school programs. We had put the new and improved greenhouse in the ARC grant. That was the federal COVID relief money. However, unfortunately, with this new news of cuts from the state aid fund this year, we probably are not going to be able to do that. So we'll have to just deal with the greenhouse as we have it now, which is fine. It just didn't have the same capacity that we had hoped for. But given what we're facing in terms of cuts, we can't really afford to spend it on greenhouse.
Thank you.
Hi, Heather Lucasio, 636 East Park. So I'll say two things. First thing is sorry, I'm short, I forget, I have to look at my, two things. One, I want to jump on what Ann says, how important it is, you see how many people came to see the show, how important it is to keep the music and the arts and all of that. You know, I know we have big numbers to crunch with this budget and everything. I just, on behalf of all the students of Long Beach and all the community, I hope that music and arts and the shows and those type of things are not part of those cuts. Because in my experience, looking in and out, once you get rid of music, once you get rid of theater, once you get rid of those things, you're never getting it back. That's community music education right there. That being said, my second thing is, I know Dr. Ashworth, you and I have had this conversation, Dr. Gallagher, a couple of us. Have we given any thought to what we're going to do in the future for math in the high school that children don't have to pay for? As I said before, if you look at every math class that we have, it's a college class. Once you get past the three, algebra, geometry, trigonometry, everything is IB, AP, or college level. It's not fair. It doesn't show equity. It basically tells people who can't afford it, once you're done with math in 10th grade, sorry, you're no longer competitive. So I'm just curious if we've given any thought to how we're going to approach that for next school year.
We have given that lots of thought. When we discussed last time, we were hoping to try to include ENIPCs in the budget. I have to tell you, that's
totally
not happening.
Well, when I saw the amount that we were losing in the paper, I did
But
that.
certainly, we should make clear to parents what courses have to be paid for and which don't. And when we brought this up at the PTSA meeting, I know that Mrs. McMahon worked on a template. The college courses, you don't necessarily have to pay for college credits, so I think that's what we have to make clear to families, so that if they want to take that course for the option of enrichment or preparing for college, but don't want to hand over the $300 of credit, they'll be able to do that. So we'll ensure that there are some options.
Okay, so basically, it's the AP and the IB classes that have to be paid for. There's no way around it. And the college classes can be taken without paying for it, but you just don't get the college credit.
That's okay. That's
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Dasher. Anybody else? Any announcements? Long Beach Classroom Teachers Association?
No announcements this evening.
Supervisor, UPS.
No announcements.
LBSTA? Parent Teacher Organization? Student Organization? Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn? May I have a second?
Second.
All right. All right. Thanks again, everybody, for coming out.